Well, hi again, everybody, and welcome to another episode of 100 Yards of Football. Along with Vincent Turner, I'm Harper LaBelle, and we are pleased today to have a two-time Super Bowl champion. He's a World Bowl champion. He's a high school coach. He's coached at the college level. Goodness gracious, Derrick Dodge does a fantastic job to keep the game of football moving forward. Before we get to Derrick, though, I want to make mention of something real quick, and I want to highlight on November 1st, that's a Saturday, the Lee Haney games will be taking place at the Gas South District in Duluth, Georgia. Now, Lee Haney, if you're not aware, is an 8-time Mr. Olympia champion, along with Coleman and Schwarzenegger. This guy has a physique that he's a world champion. And he wants to know if there are bodybuilders out there that can qualify for Mr. Olympia, and they can do so by winning the event that he has. But there's other things that he has outside of bodybuilding. If you're just a big old strong dude, they have a deadlift. There's a calisthenic competition. There's cornhole competition. There's a fit kids competition and dance as well. So men versus men, women versus women, teenagers versus other teenagers. There's all kinds of competition. And if you don't want to compete, but you just would like to go to leehaney.com and learn about the Lee Haney Games. All of the proceeds that come from the charity golf event, which is on October 30th, are for the Haney Harvest House, and it's a wonderful charity, and we are glad to partner with Lee. He's been a guest on the show. We greatly appreciate everything he does, so thank you so much for being a part of that. Vincent, instead of Lee Haney today, we get to have a champion in many different other respects, and they're all football related. Derrick Dodge has Super Bowl rings. He's got more diamonds than Tom Shane does, and we're going to get a chance to visit with him today.
Well, like I said, it's an honor and pleasure to have Mr. Dodge on. And I want our audience to know that, remember Florida State back in the mid-'70s when they had that great defensive back out of Fort Myers, Florida by the name of Deion Primetime Sanders? Well, from 86, 87, 88, it wasn't all about Deion in the secondary. He had some dogs, as we call them. We have them, my parents are from Mississippi. People that was about that life. And think about Leroy Butler was playing with Deion. Martin Mayhew was playing with Deion. But the guy that played the safety position, we're going to give him his flowers tonight. It's Mr. Derrick Dodge, one of the best that ever done it. I want people to understand, because y'all know Florida State was playing Miami in them games. Michael Irvin and them, even though Deion was getting that publicity, Martin Mayhew was getting publicity, Leroy Butler was getting publicity. But the free safety position, nobody talk about the gentleman we got on our platform tonight, number 28, that brought that smoke, that wood, like we say down in the 901, my hometown of Memphis, Tennessee. It's barbecue time. So we got Mr. Dodge, Florida State, in the house. Back to you,
Well, Derrick, with a welcome like that, it's going to be all easy sailing for the rest of the interview. Thank you so much for being a part of the show today.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
We want to begin with most of the athletes that we get a chance to talk to early on in their lives, where athletics, where a specific sport became a focus. For you, it was baseball, right? You were a really good baseball player. And let's talk a little bit about your beginning and how you evolved into football from an early baseball beginning and love for the sport.
I'm born and raised in New Jersey, and I was raised with my grandmother, great-grandmother's aunties, and uncles. And so when I was up north, I was always skinny. That's why my nickname's the Blade. This house so skinny I can hide behind a blade of grass. And so I started playing baseball, and so I was a baseball player up north. And so my grandmother raised me up north until I was in the 9th grade, and then I moved to Marbury, Florida, which is between Orlando and Tampa, right below Lakeland, Florida, where the Ponce twins are from. And those guys down here, football is big in the South, and they kind of talked me into going out playing football. But I was a baseball player up north, went to East Brunswick Votech. I was born in Neptune, lived in Long Branch, Jamesburg, Asbury Park, Freehold, Englishtown, lived a lot of places. But I was stable when I kept stable with my great-grandmother. And that's when
Yankees, Mets, or Phillies? Yankees, Mets, or Phillies?
I'm a Yankee fan. 70s Yankees, Mickey Rivers, Chris Chambliss, Ron Guidry, You know what I'm saying? Thurman Munson. I can name the whole team. Willie Randolph. I always wanted to be a New York Yankee. I always thought I was going to play for the New York Yankees. Chris
Yeah.
Chambliss. I can mention all of them, all the Yankees. And I wanted to be a New York Yankee when I was playing baseball up north.
Well, and about the time you were becoming a fan, they got good again. You mentioned all those guys, late 70s,
Yes.
early 80s. You beat my Dodgers a couple times. You lost to the Reds. Do you hate the Reds as much as I do?
I don't really hate the Reds. I don't think I really hate any baseball team. I just love the Yankees when I was younger. I still love the Yankees. You know what I mean?
You mean you love the Red Sox?
I wasn't like, I ain't gonna say I loved them, but I was young then. Like it is now with social media and everything, is easier to hate them. But back then, I don't know if the rivalry was crazy. I didn't get to see it. All I know is I just loved watching the Yankees since I stay up and fell asleep on the two Goose Gossage and all them boys throwing the ball. Yeah, I'm from that. That's the era I watched that I fell in love with the New York Yankees when I was playing baseball.
Yeah, you got Lou Piniella out and right.
Lou Piniella, Greg Nettles
Nettles,
at third,
of course.
Willie Randolph at second. Yeah. Let's go.
I know.
Yep. Dave
great
Winfield. Dave Winfield had played on there. Reggie Jackson. Yeah.
Yep. You mentioned Mickey. Mickey would always lay that bunt down that third baseline, and he was off. Yeah. Off. Couldn't get him out. Oh my gosh. Now, did you ever go to a game at Yankee Stadium? And if so, what was that like for you?
Never got a chance to go to the Yankee Stadium, but I did go. I had a friend whose dad had got me and him tickets to the Phillies game. So I attended one game when I was up north, and it was a Philadelphia Phillies game. It was a nice experience for me.
Yeah. You get to see, the bright lights. Now, back then, Philly had the turf. So for me, my first experience at a baseball game, a professional baseball game, was with the grass. And there's just the smell of the grass, the hot dogs, and everything else that's a part of the game. You hear the vendor saying peanuts, popcorn, get your programs here. It can really set the stage for a young person to love the game and appreciate the business of it, but obviously the entertainment aspect as well.
Yes, exactly. That's what it did for me. That's did for me.
All right. So the big question for you, Diedrich, is when did you realize, you know what? I don't think I'm going to miss these curveballs. I can hit these things. This is no problem for me.
When I moved to Florida in the 10th grade, so I played 3 sports in high school. So I went from football to basketball to baseball. But baseball was always my first love. Now, I played football up north, but it was just touch. It was nothing. I never had put a helmet on. I didn't know how to put pads on. So I didn't start playing football to the 10th grade. I just was always a baseball player. But the guys down there, the guys that, my classmates, kind of talked me out there, and the rest is history. I was just very fortunate.
First time you went out for football was as a sophomore?
Was a sophomore. First time playing organized football was 10th grade.
Now, I know I started playing as a junior in high school, and I have to admit, when I go back to those days, and I'm serious with myself, I can say 2 words about my performance, and I suck. I mean, if I look back at it, what I know now, it was horrible to think of how raw and inexperienced that I was. I know I'm alone in that. When did you start to get the feel that I'm comfortable with where I'm at? I love hitting people and knocking them out, and I'm going to be pretty stinking good one day.
I was a good athlete up north, like just playing the flag football and touch football in the street. I come up in the bricks, so like I was good. I was always an athlete. I just didn't think I was big enough to play organized football, like helmet and pads. Like I never went out for that. Everybody was so much bigger than me. I just was skinny, but I always was tall. And I always had good hands, always could play, but I just never played organized ball. And so, like, I already had the talent. I just needed someone to just bring it out of me, talk to me to get me out on the field. And when I moved down south, that's what they did. Now, I didn't know how to put on the helmet and the pads. Everything was too big.
Right.
But my JV coach could see that I had talent. I always had good hands, good hand-eye coordination. I was quick. So I already had all that. And I had to learn how to be physical. And so basically, I was a teammate on my team on JV. His name was Robert Bostic. And he was little like me. And I saw him, like, make a tackle. Because back when I played varsity, used to scrimmage the JV, and they beat up on us. But I saw Robert Bostic, like, tackle our starting running back, and he wasn't scared. And me and him was living in the same neighborhood outside of Mulberry. And when I saw that, it gave me belief that I could do it too. It's the first time, when you do it,
Yep.
you feel a little sting a little bit, but then you be like, okay, I can do this.
Yeah.
And ever since then, like I said, the rest is history as far as on that. When I got my first hit, I was like, oh, it dinged me a little bit, little stars. But after that, it was like the cheer from the guys on the sideline, like, yo, he hit
Right.
you did that. And ever since then, I've been coming up now. I'm gonna bite down on the mouthpiece and come through you now. I'm gonna do that.
Well, not only the experience, but let's talk. You mentioned earlier you're a tall, skinny kid. After a while, that weight room started. You'd flex and look in the mirror, and then the girls would start looking too. I mean, it all started catching up, I would imagine. Your hormone levels, your testosterone, your muscle mass, your confidence, your speed, the power. Voila! Next thing you know, you got yourself a Andre Hopkins or Wes Hopkins, or a Andre Waters. I played with Andre. I played with a couple of really good guys, and you became one of them. When did you start feeling the difference between, should I be a wide receiver or should I be a guy that plays on the defensive side?
I played both ways in high school.
Yep.
So I played both ways. When I came out and went to Florida State, I went as a receiver. I was first team All-State as receiver. I led the county, Polk County. I led the county in interceptions and receptions. And I'm talking about Lakeland, Haines City, all the towns that's in Polk County. Wayne Gandy's from Polk County, Tracy McGrady, Amari Stoudemire, the Ponce twins, Ray Lewis, Alvin Harper. I'm saying, so when I came, we got a county that got a lot of good football players to come out of there. Kenny Gant. So when I came, I led the county in interceptions and receptions. So when I went to Florida State, I went as a wide receiver. And then in the spring, Coach Andrews talked me into coming over the defensive back, really, which was more my favorite position. It fit me more than even wide receiver, even though I was good at wide receiver as well.
Well, at 6'2", with your speed, is there an outside chance that you'd be playing linebacker or being one of those tweeners? Back in the day, a guy that could cover somebody, a tight end or a back coming out.
You forgot I told you. I was like, let me tell you how much I weighed. When I went to Florida State, I was 6'2", almost 6'3", 153 pounds.
Oh, goodness.
I didn't lift weights in high school because I was ashamed to go in the weight room because I wasn't strong. I just was athletic and tough. You know what I'm saying? I called myself like a 2x4. It's a 2x4 skinny now, but it can put some pain to you. I really didn't start lifting. But I didn't start lifting until I got to college. So I was always skinny. That's how they gave me the nickname in Florida State. Coach McDuffie, rest his soul, he was the offensive line coach, and he just said, man, you skinny as a blade of grass. We're going to call you the Blade. So my nickname's the Blade. Anybody from Florida State, they're going to call me the Blade. And I want to say one more thing as far as on that. When you were talking about Leroy Butler, and I'm from that same, me and Dion are in the same class. We came in class of 85. I played with Leroy, played with Martin Mayhew was my big brother when I went there, played with him, played with Terrell Buckley. We was all like on the same squad. Terrell was a freshman when I got to be a senior. But yeah, me and Dion in the same class, and then Leroy came right after us. So all three of us in the secondary at the same time. And I played with Martin Mayhew.
Yeah, unbelievable. We'll get to that in a second, if you don't mind. Tell me a little bit about, you mentioned that all county receiving, dropping the bone, interceptions, the whole 9 yards. What was it like in terms of the recruiting process? When did somebody come to the school and ask to visit with you specifically? And what was that feeling like for you, knowing that I may have a chance to play at the next level?
When I speak to my student athletes and students in general, and what's amazing is that, like, today's time is different from the time that I was there with social media and recruiting is so big now. I never thought about college when I was in school. I just played because I like to play, you know what I mean? And my great-grandmother was always looking for my name in the paper on Saturday. She was looking for one name, you know what I mean? My real great-grandmother adopted me. My real name is Dedrick Allen, my born name. But my
Okay.
great-grandmother adopted me in 11th grade, and her last name was Dodge, my real great-grandmother. And so that's how my name became Derrick Allen Dodge. But I never thought about college. I swear. I never like guys now think about going to school. I didn't think about it. It didn't happen until like my junior year. I had a really good assistant coach. His name was Vic Smith, and he went to Bethune-Cookman College. He was my position coach, my wide receiver coach, and my DB coach.
Sure.
And we had to be on the field early. So I could, we had to run the route tree before practice even started. We had to do our backpedaling drills before practice even started. He was that good. I was blessed with good coaches. So I didn't start really thinking about college until like the end of my junior year when I started getting letters. And then I started getting letters, and then the coach was like, man, you got a chance to play college. I never thought about it, never. So when I started getting the letters, I started thinking about, I can go to the next level. NC State, Pitt. I was trying to go back up north because, that's why I was born and raised at. I was trying to go back up north. Pitt was recruiting me at one time, but I went to the best place. I mean, even in the day's time, like I went to the place that was meant for me, which was Florida State. But to answer your question, my junior year when I started getting letters in the mail saying that we're interested in you, that's when I started thinking like, oh, this can go to the next level.
Was there any chance that baseball was still going to be a part of your life, or did you kind of have to give that up?
I wanted to play baseball. I wanted to try to do both. But what happened was I got hurt. I separated my shoulder playing basketball, and I missed my senior season in baseball.
Okay.
So they had to put a pin and they had to take it out. So I had to heal up. The baseball coach, he knew I really wanted to play. So like I wasn't telling the truth. I was hurt. I ain't gonna say hurt. What we say, Yeah, it hurt because when you're injured, you can't play. But I couldn't lift my arm over my shoulder, but I still wanted to play baseball. But he knew that if I came out there, I would jeopardize my scholarship with football, and he didn't let me play. He made me go, and that's when I had to go get the operation. So it worked out in the middle. I was upset with him, but he was right. He was coaching. He was right. I was able to heal up and go into Florida State in the fall and be healthy rather than having to go in there and get an operation.
And you mentioned him earlier, having a guy at Florida State that, by the way, played two sports and, went on to do it professionally. I would imagine having two at the same time at the school that could do both, that would have been amazing. Do me a favor, though.
They didn't think I could play, though, because I didn't play my senior year. But I was a good baseball player. I was a good baseball player. Mm-hmm.
Well, you hit a couple over the fence. I'm sure the coach would say, I may want to rethink my earlier perception. Yeah. Tell me about Bobby Bowden and getting a chance to visit the first time when you make that recruiting trip. And what was it about the university that just melted your heart, made you say, this is amazing. I really want to go here.
I was new to it. What happened was, I went to Louisville. Louisville was my first visit. Purvis Ellison was there. We went to a Louisville game. But remember now, I was playing basketball. Now, my basketball coach, like I said, the times was different back then. I was really like a six man. I wasn't all that good in basketball, but I was good at defense and rebounding and things.
Sure. Okay.
He was kind of upset. He was kind of upset with me that I was taking trips, and he wanted me to be there for the basketball game. I know he would change that thought now. You know what I'm saying, in these days. Yeah. But back then, so like I took Louisville trip, and then Florida State was next. And then
Purvis Ellison, stop for a second now. Rick Pitino, was he still at Louisville?
No, Rick wasn't there then. This is way back in the 80s now. This is like 84. Yeah.
You're right. I'm sorry. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, they won the national in, was it 79, 80, 81? One of those years. They beat UCLA.
One of those years. Yeah, yes. One of them years. Yep.
Purvis freshman year.
Yep. Yeah, Purvis. Never nervous Purvis. Yep.
86, his freshman year.
Yeah.
Okay.
And when I went to when Louisville was first, and then I went to Florida State, and then Bobby just asked me. Like I said, I was new to everything. I was raised by women. You know what I'm saying? Grandmothers and great grandmothers. I didn't have nobody really like tell me about the experience. Coach Bowden just took me in the office and said, "Are you coming here?" And I said, "Yes." And that was it. And I didn't take no other visits. I just went playing basketball. You know, that's how it was. They took me on a recruiting trip. There you go, Coach Bowden. And he brought me in the office and said, "Are you coming here?" And I just said yes. And lucky me, how fortunate I was, because I ended up coming in. I think it was #1 ranked class. Sammy Smith, Odell Higgins, Deion Sanders. We had a really great class. It really was the best fit for me. I was just really fortunate.
What was it about the school that you liked? Not just Coach Bowden and you get the sell, right? Hey, are you coming? Right? Yes, that you
Yeah,
couldn't be. What an easy close you are. But what about maybe the
it
academics,
wasn't. It wasn't. It
the
wasn't none of that.
campus,
It
pretty
wasn't.
girls?
It
What was?
wasn't. It wasn't none of that. It was like, they have the girls that take you out, but I had never been to a college campus before.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? So like, I'm brand new. I'm green. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? All I know is like, you know what I mean? They paid for me to go up there and I meet this man. It's not like I say now, kids take unofficial visits and all. It wasn't like that. I'm telling you, it wasn't like that in the 80s, in the mid 80s when I was there. So when I went up, I hadn't seen nothing else. So like that was the first time I saw. It wasn't like I saw it before. And so it just like felt great that somebody said, all right, then I want you. You know what I mean? Now, the
Yeah.
experience was a little better than Louisville.
Right.
Now, Louisville was more basketball back then. So that's why they took us to the basketball game. But when I went up there, they had the girls take you out, but it wasn't nothing special that I can remember. That, all right, this is the stadium. And all. No, it wasn't that. It was just, he said, you coming? And I said, yes. That's how easy it was. I swear it wasn't
Yeah.
like I seen the whole. Then we went around the campus, but it wasn't like I was in awe, this and that. I just got lucky. I swear I just got lucky. He said, "You coming? I'm coming," and I end up being in a great class, the class that started it, the run. You know what I'm saying? They always call us Class 85, the baseline class that got it started. I just was fortunate. It just was that simple. It was
Yeah.
nothing else. I swear it wasn't nothing else.
Well, yeah, you end up getting there, and there's work to do, right? But
Yeah,
so much
yes,
talent around there. I mean, I would imagine
yes.
from your high school experience, not just fairly close. You're within the state, but getting ready for the Hurricanes, getting ready for the Gators, getting ready for all those ACC battles that you have. There's a different drive on that. It was time to get to work, wasn't it?
Yes. I had a chip on my shoulder because people used to they thought I was somebody's little brother because I was so skinny. So they was like, they didn't, nobody thought that I played on the team. So they had all kind of jokes, trying to joke me. I can, fit in a straw, hula hoop in a Cheerio. They had all those. And so like, I'm still a Jersey boy as far as stuff like that. And so you got to prove them wrong as far as on that aspect. And so, like I said, I mean, you had to start making plays. I was fourth string when I first, went over to safety, and I just had to earn it. You have to beat out guys, and that's what I had to do. I had to beat out guys and rise up. But that was in me, though. I wasn't intimidated about the challenge. And so when I went out there, and every time I was on the field, I was going to get to the ball. And like I always said, my great grandmother, my grandmother, they looking for me. They looking for me to make plays. And so that was always in my mindset. It was bigger than me. Coach Bowden taught us that. He said, what you do is bigger than yourself. He said, what you do affects more than just yourself. I never forgot that. And it's true. So
Yeah.
what you do as a student or as an athlete, it affects more than just you. It affects your school, it affects your family. You know what I'm saying? What you do is a reflection of where you come from.
Vincent, I've been hogging up the interview the whole time. Go ahead.
No problem, because we got honor in the house. It's in the house. All right, Mr. Dodge, I'm gonna take you back to your career at Florida State. First and foremost, I want to know, what was Mickey Andrews? What was he like playing for? My people in Memphis wanted me to ask you that. But I'm gonna start with the '87 season. Your first game against Texas Tech, and you playing against Billy Joe Tolliver. And I think you got defensive player of the game because you got 5 tackles in that game. Then that season was special. Y'all had Miami on the ropes. And what happened? Michael Irvin got loose on that 60-yard touchdown run.
He did.
And I said, Florida State, are they playing with us or they not? But then that national television game on CBS, y'all go down there against Auburn. Auburn highly ranked. And they got them 2 receivers, Lawyer Tillman and the guy that can really run like lightning, Alexander Wright. And y'all put the glove on them.
Yes.
Talk about that real quick. And then let me back up against Michigan State that year. Y'all beat the brakes off them and y'all put the locks on Andre Rising. Talk about those 3 games right there, sir.
I just fortunate enough to play with some coach. I had a really good staff. First, you want to talk about Mickey Andrews. Mickey Andrews is a Alabama, born and bred Bear Bryant guy, and that's exactly how he coached. He was fire and brimstone on the field. You had to be physical to play for Mickey Andrews. You had to get to the ball. But off the field, he was really, really nice. But on the field, he didn't play no games. You know what I'm saying? You had to be physical. You had to be communicate. You had to be loud, and you had to get to the ball, or somebody's going to come in there and point at you and bring you to the sideline. You weren't going to play for Mickey Andrews. Hard-nosed coach. Hard-nosed coach. Fussing, hollering, screaming. But you know he loved you. On the field, every day before we went to practice, we went through a sign that said enthusiasm. And that's what Coach Andrews, our coaches really wanted us to have. Now, we're going to skip through that. And you said the other question was about
Them Canes.
when we played them Canes. Hey,
Canes.
look at here. And it's a good story. And I tell, look, as I coach safeties, because you know that was my deal in DBs, that's the last time I've been beat on a fade route as long as I've been playing football. And I'm talking from flag football. I don't care what I played afterwards, World League, but I was looking at the seam route. And Steve Walsh threw a nice little hole shot in there, and Mike got me. But that's because I didn't secure the fade. I was looking at like 2 seams, and I was looking at the seam. It was a lesson learned for me because I've never been beat on a fade route ever since. And as you said in the Auburn game, we play Auburn in the Sugar Bowl, and Lawyer Tillman ran the same exact route. And the route that Michael Irvin beat me on, I was more disciplined on in the Sugar Bowl, and I picked it off. And so, you just got to you know what I'm saying, when you make mistakes, learn from your mistakes and not let them happen again. And that just basically, you know what I'm saying, what happened to me. First of all, I want to still be playing. If I'd have got beat again, Coach Andrew might never put me back in the game again. So I always want to be playing. But I just learned from my mistakes. I'm talking about trying to be the best that I could be. And I just was surrounded by a lot of good players. Just a good game. Miami, we had them on the ropes, but they was the better team that day when it came down to it. So we had to learn how to not lose. And I think, what I'm saying, after that, we ran off the rest of our game. We went 11-1 that year. We had only lost to Miami. So my last 3 years in college, it was 11-1, 11-1, 10-2. Just a pretty good college career. I mean, I wouldn't trade it for nothing.
But I got one more thing I want to say. A lot of people in our audience don't know this. At the time, back in 87, a lot of people were following Oklahoma. They was following Nebraska, following USC, following all these great wide receivers across the country. Of course, Oklahoma ran the wishbone. But a lot of people don't know the competition y'all went up against, Mr. Dodge. The receivers y'all had was the best in the country. Lawrence Dashby, Ronald Lewis, Terry Anthony,
Fab Four,
Herb Gaynor, Bruce Lesane. I'm talking about guys.
Hassan Jones. Yep.
That's what I'm saying. Guys that were big, strong, and fast. It was like y'all was running them in like peanuts. And they were getting deep on people. Talk about that competition in practice every day.
Every day was like, even to me right now, every day is game day. And that's how we practice when we was there at Florida State. The competition was major. They used to say that at Miami as well. Our practices was tougher than our games. And, you didn't want to, there's a lot of jokes in college. You didn't want to get joked in the cafeteria. After practice, you take a shower and you go eat. And if somebody beat you on a bomb or if you missed a tackle, he ran you over, you know what I'm saying? You had to take the brunt of the jokes in there. So you never wanted to be the one that had the jokes on. You wanted to be the one that joked them. But the competition was fierce, but it prepared us for the games when we got in there. Like I said, we played against the Fab Four, Ronald Lewis, you know what I'm saying, Bruce Lesane, Lawrence Darcy, Terry Anthony. That's every day. And they all was trying to get with you every day. Dexter Carter was on that team. I played with Amp Lee, Marion Butts. It was a lot. I'm saying it was a lot of them, man. So I was prepared. You know what I'm saying? That's why when I had got to the NFL, you know what I'm saying, I felt like I was just moving up another level. I wasn't in awe. I had respect for the NFL, but I wasn't in awe because I played against the same guys that I was in the NFL with. I played against them when I was in college. Because one thing about Bobby Bowden, he wasn't scared to play nobody.
What about bad news? My question, I'm going to give it back to Hart. One player that don't really get his respect, even he was your former teammate at San Francisco, but man, he was a bad man. Leroy Brown, the move from tailback to fullback, Mr. William Floyd.
Yes. William Floyd was I didn't play with William Floyd. I didn't play with William Floyd. But he was a freshman coming in when I was leaving. But he was when we got to Florida State, he was real rough. The fullbacks I played with was Marion Butts and Dane Williams. Yep.
Back to you, Hart.
Well, great group of guys, and I just put the picture of Dion up. I'll do it again. When I was a teammate with Dion, there were times where you want to have a little fun, laugh, but you're clowning around in between when you got to get your work in.
Yes.
And there were people that would tease Dion about, oh, he doesn't have to hit anybody, and he doesn't. I saw it, and I imagine you did as well. He could lay the wood down.
Yes.
He may have been a 2x4 himself, but you know what? A 2x4 will sting if you hit somebody just the right way. I've seen him do it. I also realized that there was a value if Dion hurt his shoulder or his lower back, let's say, or even his legs, he's not playing, and they didn't want that. So they said, instead of you tackling every time, coming up and playing the run, we don't mind if you miss a few tackles. There was an agreement, so to speak. But you saw that man play. You saw Leroy Butler. I mean, headhunters, and you were one of them. So talk a little bit about what it meant to you to be. You got to represent just the DB room, and how tough it was for you to, and how good you guys were because of that.
Corners cover, safeties tackle. Okay. Period, point blank. If Dion, any corner that got a lot of tackles, that means they're getting burnt a lot during the game. A lot of catches are being made on them. Dion tackle whenever he needed to tackle.
Yep.
So I always disparage that right there. Dion, and you ain't nobody never seen Dion missing no tackles, but he's not paid to tackle. He's paid. He's a cover corner. They weren't even going to his side. What do you say? Dion was covering them. Couldn't even get the ball over there. I get paid to tackle. I'm talking about the safeties tackle. I want cover corners. I don't want no tackling corner. That's a safety. I mean, how many catches are getting caught on you if you got 8 tackles a game? That's not good. That means you getting 8 balls caught on you a game. Prime time ain't never had to deal with that. My job was to tackle. So you just hope Dion force him to me and I will tackle him. That's just it. As far as that, I'm talking about as far as in the league. You ask anybody that coach defense, you ask them, they want a tackling corner or a cover corner. They're going to tell you a cover corner because he ain't going to have to make no tackles because he ain't getting no balls completed on him.
Yeah. Pretty sage advice right there, and understanding the difference between. Look, this is your corner. This is your part of the field. This is mine. One of the things that you said about your coaches, and I'd like to ask, as you guys got from freshmen, sophomores, junior year, I imagine you could put a lot of different defenses in, different coverages in, because you had the talent, the speed, and you had the smarts to be able to differentiate and to make changes on the fly if they go trips or they have motion going across the field. What was that like for you, getting a chance to really show your athleticism and your football savvy by being with a great group of guys there in the secondary?
The one thing about us back then, we had so many good players, we didn't have to run a lot of defenses. You know what I'm saying? We just run a few defenses because a lot of teams couldn't really do nothing with us. It was like a 3-4 team back then. And so Coach Andrews, back then he was like a cover 3 guy. So I mainly was the deep middle. And when it was 3rd and long, we went cover 2. And really like 2-man or cover 2. But for the most part, we was cover 3. We had guys that could rush the passer up front. We had linebackers that can run and hit. And of course, we had defensive backs that can cover and that could hit. So we didn't really run a lot of defenses when I was at Florida State because we had some good football players. Some good athletes, some good football players, guys that can just play. Coach Andrew just wanted you to play. And I think after I left, he ran a lot of cover 1, which means it was just man free. I mean, this cat defense, you know what I'm saying? That's your cat, this is my cat, you know what I mean? And he just played. He didn't run a lot. But Coach Andrews was one of them, you know what I'm saying? They got a lot of different. He didn't run a lot of defenses. That's your man. If you get beat, I'm putting somebody else in there that can cover. You know what I'm saying? And that's what prepared us for the league. I mean, everything that I learned from Coach Andrews, really from high school, I have good coaches everywhere I've been. I was really blessed. From high school on, prepared me for the level that I went at. And Coach Andrews just elevated it when I got there. You had to be physical. I mean, we tackled every day. Every day we did a tackling circuit. You know what I mean? So we was just prepared. Footwork, all the drills, Coach Andrews gave them to us. And so when I had, got a chance to go to the NFL, it was an easy transition for me. All I had to do was just learn the defense.
Yeah, I would imagine you mentioned earlier you lose one game, and then 2 games in your final 3 years there. I would have lost 4 games in 5 weeks in college. I didn't get you learn to trust your offense, your special teams, every portion of the game, and the defense. It stops right here, right? Your ability and really setting the tone for Florida State and getting them right back in the national championship hunt during those days that you were there. The way you practiced led to great performances on Saturdays, and it sure proved itself, didn't it?
It sure did. The thorn still was Miami. That's when Miami was the U. I
Yeah.
mean, really, you know what I'm saying? We played some good teams when I was there. Miami was really rolling at the time. I mean, we played Michigan State, we played Auburn, we played Michigan and Michigan. Jim Harbaugh was the quarterback when we played up in Michigan. We lost like 2018. Played Nebraska when Tom Osborne was there. Florida every year, played University of Florida every year. So we had some good competition that we played with, but it prepared us for when we got into the bowl game. I never lost a bowl game all the years that I was at Florida State. So I was always fortunate enough to win the last game. Wasn't fortunate enough to win the national championship, but I was fortunate enough to be a part of some good teams, and we always won our last game, no matter what bowl we went to.
Yeah, and I would think, any team, anytime. We'll play any place, anytime, right? That was
was
what
Bobby.
you said. Yeah.
That was Bobby Bowden. He will go to you. He will look. We come to you. That's how he was. That was his mentality, and that's how we was bred. That's how it was built at Florida State.
Yeah, between Notre Dame, you mentioned Auburn. Dion does have a funny story about, he was playing left corner and Auburn ran a sweep to the left-hand side. He ran right to, no, he went across the field and got there about 15 yards down the field. And he said, some forearm hit me. Vincent Bo Jackson's fist that facelit, and he has fun with it. But you know what? That's a memory that you were in that game too, right? I mean, just great memories.
Coach Bowden took us to that game. That was '85. That was Dion was a true freshman, and Bo ran a sweep to the left and broke out. And Dion came from the backside and ran Bo down, and then Bo hit him with the stiff arm. But Coach Bowden took us just so we can feel the experience. Matter of fact, that's the last time we ever lost to Auburn. He took us so we can get the experience. But I didn't play. I was redshirted that year. But he took a lot of the '85 freshmen just so we can feel and know how it is in Jordan here. It was loud. And when Bo Jackson got the ball, man, they tear the roof off that thing. Bo was Bo now. That's why Bo was Bo.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, he man amongst boys. Before we move on to the pros and everything else, what did you glean when you said just a few moments ago that, I just said yes, I didn't know anything better. 4 years after Florida State, I would say you go from a boy to a full-grown man in terms of your football preparation. Is there some truth to that at all?
Yes, it is. You know what I mean? Because I had to earn. I had everything that was given to me. It wasn't given to me. I had to earn it. I had to earn my position. You know what I mean? You have to every day. Look, we went in the locker room. Coach Andrews had a depth chart before you go in the locker room every single day, and it depended on how you practice, what depth you was going to be on there. So you could have been second team on a Wednesday, and then going to practice on the Thursday, and you third team, and you wondering why because you had a bad practice. And so, with the competition and things that we had, prepared us to be to play the best that we can. Then when we was out there. So of course, I grew from a boy to a man, but I owe it all to the coaches and my teammates at Florida State. You know what I'm saying? You also got to have a discipline of it. But like I said, I played for more than just myself. I was playing for my family, for Marbury, for the places, everybody that helped me get there, for my coaches from back in high school. Because I know when they're watching Florida State, they're looking for me. Yeah, they're watching the game, But if you come from anybody, your family, your mother, whoever raised you, when they're watching that TV, they looking for you. And the only way you're gonna be seen is you got to make plays. And the and the camera follows the ball, so Derrick Dodge is gonna get to the ball.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Defensively, it's get to the ball. Period. There's not much else you got to do. Get to where the ball is.
Yeah,
Unless you're Reggie White, you can get to the quarterback before. But he's got the ball.
yeah.
Talk a little bit about Seattle. We missed each other. I was there in '89. You get there in 1990. So talk a little bit about that experience and signing with the Seahawks. They were still in Kirkland, right? A beautiful part of the country. Not nearly
Yes.
as hot as what you had in Tallahassee, but
No,
professional football. You're playing.
I the crazy thing, I never, like I told you, when I was in high school, I never thought about college. When I was in college, I never thought about the NFL. When I graduated with a degree in criminology in the fall of '89, my auntie was working at Anheuser-Busch in New Jersey. I was working at Anheuser-Busch in New Jersey. She helped me get a job there. But this little agent kept calling me and was like, you don't want to be like, what if you can play? And so I came back from New Jersey and started working out. And Leroy Butler was going to get drafted high. And Leroy Butler said every time the scouts come work him out, he's going to call me so I can work out too. And that's what happened. And so I think it was 30 teams back then. And out of the 30 teams, only one offered me, because I was an undrafted free agent in 12 rounds. But Seattle, a guy named Joe Vick was a scout for Seattle.
Yep.
And I remember he was watching Leroy Butler. This is what I tell student athletes. The NFL don't watch highlights. They watch game tape. So like, if you made some plays in the game, they can't help but see you, because they don't watch highlights. They watch the game. They want to see how you playing in the game. I had a good game, that Miami game, my senior year. That's the only year we beat Miami. And Joe Vitt liked it. He's like, we want to bring you as a free agent. So out of them 30 teams, only one team offered me a free agent contract, and that was Seattle. And when I went there, I brought that same energy, that far as practice, as I did at Florida State. And now I got released at the end, but I knew I could play when I was there. I knew I could play. And that's when I went to the World League in the spring and came back to Seattle. But it was a tremendous experience, because when I went there, I was like, these are the same guys that I played against in college that we beat. You know what I mean? So we just moved up, like going from JV to varsity, and from varsity to college, and from college to the NFL. So every level you go up, you got to separate yourself. So my mentality was already like that, from being coached by Coach Andrews and Coach Vic Smith, that when I went there, I knew I could play there. Sometimes you get caught up in the numbers. And I got caught in the numbers the first time in Seattle, but I went and proved it in the World League, and they brought me back.
Well, talk about that. It was the first of the World League, right? And I know that they were basically trying to, this is the business aspect of the owners wanting to have a group of guys in case there was another strike or a workers situation that would keep games from being played. There was too much for them to lose. So they had like a AAA system, and they developed that. There was teams in Europe, and the London Monarchs had a team, and you got to join them. I think it would be very difficult to go from a season, get a week off for Christmas basically, and then start training to go overseas and play there, and then get another week off, and then go get ready for NFL experience. But talk a little bit about what the World League was for you. This is a picture that I took from that 91 team.
Yes.
You had some great success there, and you were a part of that.
Yes, like it was a developmental league. You know what I mean, like the G League in basketball.
Yeah.
And like you say, AAA in baseball. And so guys, they thought, like, when I first got there to the World League, because it was the first year, you had to go through a combine and everything to get drafted. You had to be in an NFL camp. You couldn't be nobody off the street. So everybody that was over there was in an NFL camp. You had some NFL veterans that was over there. So that first year, man, it was really deep with a lot of NFL players. Once again, old Derrick Dodge, fortunate. I went to Florida State. I was fortunate to be with a great team. Here I get drafted by the London Monarchs, and we got Raider coaches. So you already know the old-time Raiders, and that's how those coaches was. That's how we practiced, the same way that I practiced in high school in Florida State. That's how it was at London. And it just gave me a lot of confidence, because then I was starting and I was able to show what I could really do to all the other NFL teams. And so we go there, then Derrick Dodge, fortunate enough, win a World League championship. And then Seattle brought me back right after the season. And then I went on ahead and made Seattle. But the experience in London basically really helped me as far as like playing, confidence in everything, knowing that I could play in the NFL. Because I was playing with NFL people. It was
Yeah.
everybody over there was in the NFL camp. You know, Paul Palmer. It was a lot of guys that was over there. Bruce Clark. I mean, it was some guys that had experience, like 5-6 years NFL experience, that was trying to get back in the league.
Yep.
And so that was a way that we could show that we could play and bring in them.
What was it like from a non-football perspective? You're thinking you're in London. You don't have a lot of money. It was okay, but it wasn't great. You got to go to Barcelona, Frankfurt. Didn't Scotland have a team as well? I mean, there's just different. It was a different experience from the travel, where you live. You're in a foreign country. What was that like for you in terms of I just want to get my bearings straight. I want to be comfortable where I am, have a nice bed and TV to watch or something like that. Was it real simple for you, or was it something that was a challenge?
We ain't know no better. We were young. We just wanted to play ball.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? We were traveling. Like, we were just together. We were just happy just to be able to have the opportunity to play ball and still make a couple of dollars. They was paying you $2,000 a week back then. So you made $20,000 for the season. But it wasn't even about really the money. It was just the opportunity to be able to play and travel. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, Frankfurt had a team. Barcelona had a team. London had a team. And then they had the teams that was in the States. But it still was like on TV. The games was on TV. We was playing in Wembley Stadium.
Yeah.
That is an iconic stadium. You know what I'm saying? And the fans were great. We just was happy to be playing. Like the guys that was playing in Canada, and like when the Arena League came out and guys were playing, you just be happy that you still can be able to pursue your dream of playing ball. You know what I'm saying? No matter what sport it is and no matter what level it is, we just was happy to still be playing. So it wasn't like we was miserable over there. We were just happy to just still be playing the game and having the opportunity to show the NFL that we were good enough to be on a team.
Yeah. Well, you come back, you play in Seattle again, you get 2 years there, then you go back to London before you end up with the 49ers. And things really started changing for you in San Francisco, didn't they?
Yes, they did. Yes, they did. Like, I was out of football in 1993. And what happened after Seattle let me go, teams was working me out, but I couldn't get picked up. And then San Fran worked me out like 4 times that year. And they told me, they said, if we don't sign you during the season, we'll sign you after the season. And that's exactly what they did. Now, once again, I got to go make it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know now they got like 90 guys in camp and I don't know, 10 practice squad guys. Nah, when I went, it was 80 guys in camp. Still 53 only make it, but it's only four practice squad routes. So you had to go beat out somebody. And but my mentality was already, you know what I'm saying? I'm already prepped for this. I've been here before, you know what I'm saying? From growing up Jersey, playing at Marbury, Florida State. It was nothing. I just had to go beat out somebody. And so like when I went into camp, I ended up beating out somebody and making the team. And once again, old lucky Derrick Dodge, the 49ers win the Super Bowl. I make a team that's very good, that's like stacked. And we beat Dallas in the NFC Championship game. That really was the Super Bowl. We knew we was going to beat the Chargers. And I just happened to make that team. And like I said, the rest is history as far as I played with great players, man. I played with guys that wear the gold jackets. Like I said, going back to college, look, 2 of my guys I played with in college made the Hall of Fame in the NFL, Leroy Butler and Deion Sanders. 2 of the guys I played with in college were Thorpe Award winners. And that was Terrell Buckley and Deion Sanders. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, I've just been real fortunate and real blessed to be at the right place, right time. And then when the opportunity came to me, I was able to take advantage of it. But that goes from my teachers, my upbringing, my great-grandmother who brought me down to Florida. Like I said, like Bobby said, what you do affect more than just yourself. It was that team of people, that village that helped me get there and prepare me that when I got there, I took advantage of it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I remember that 94 season, and the Dallas and San Francisco rivalry was at another level. I don't think we ever going to see nothing like that. But I want people to understand on our platform this evening, listen to what the young man is saying and how blessed we are. The guy played with the 94 San Francisco 49ers. Not everybody is built to be on a team like that. And if you don't understand the talent that was on that team, Tim McDonald, Dana Hall, All-American, University of Washington, Eric Davis, that's right down the road where I live in Douglasville, Georgia, from Oxford, Alabama, Richard Dent, Ricky Jackson, Tim Harris, Brian Young, Dana Stubblefield, Charles Mann, Gary Plummer, Lee Woodall, Kenny Norton Jr., Ed McCaffney, Ricky Waters,
Loaded.
John Taylor. Let's stop the madness. We got royalty on here this evening.
We was
One of
loaded.
the greatest teams ever.
Loaded. It was loaded. We was loaded, man. Jerry Rice, and they practice like that. You know what I'm saying? Like it was the first time where the Niners knew how to manipulate the cap first before the rest of the league knew how to do it. But they pushed that money on the further years. So like Deion Sanders really was like the final piece because they needed somebody to be able to. Dallas had those two great receivers in Alvin Harper and Michael Irvin, but they had a great team anyway. Any of them, the whole team was great, but they needed somebody else outside opposite Eric Davis to be able to handle Alvin Harper and Michael Irvin. And so then Deion brought that swag to the 49ers too, but they was already great. You know what I'm saying? Jerry Rice, it's game day for him every single day. Every time he caught the ball, he ran all the way to the end zone. John Taylor, freaking nature. Just Ricky Waters, William Floyd, like you said, you mentioned all the guys, and I'm the only undrafted player in the secondary. You know, eight DBs make it, 4 corners and 4 safeties, and everybody on it. We had Toy Cook, who was at New Orleans, 2nd round draft pick. Tyrone Drake from Virginia Tech, 2nd round draft pick. Merton Hanks, All Pro. Tim McDonald, All Pro. Deion Sanders, All Pro. You know, and then little Derrick Dodge. Once again, little Derrick Dodge, man, beat the odds, man. And was fortunate enough to win it. Yep. And then we won the Super Bowl.
I want to ask you, and I'm going to give it back to Hawk.
Yes.
Describe the work ethic of Jerry Rice.
Unprecedented. The best wide receiver ever. And he worked that way. Jerry, I tell people like, Terrell Owens, as good as he is because of Jerry Rice. Terrell Owens, I think, came in 95. Terrell Owens wear those black tights. You know where you get that from? He got that from Jerry Rice. Jerry Rice wore black tights in his cleats, and that's how he practiced. Terrell Owens, was mentored up under him and saw how hard Jerry ran routes, the precision, the preciseness of it, every day. Every day, even when the first team offense wasn't on the field, Jerry Rice and Steve Young was on the side doing one-hand catches, running out routes. They were still practicing even when the first team defense was out there practicing. That was his work ethic. I mean, every single day. And then when Deion came, you're talking about the battles. You're talking about the battles in the one-on-one because the best want to go against the best. And so it was 50-50 now. I ain't going to sit there and tell you, like, Jerry dominated Deion. He'll tell you it was 50-50, but they was going at it. But all that prepared us for when, we got time for them big-time games. But going on Jerry Rice, the best to ever do it. Practice hard, 100, 1,000% every time. Catch the ball, run all the way to the end zone, just like he do in the games. And he come back, run all the way to the end zone when he catch the ball. Just a consummate professional, just a great person to be around and watch. You know what I'm saying? Learned a lot just from watching him and his work ethic.
Back to you, Hawk.
I know one of the worst days that I ever had is when I'm here in Atlanta and Bobby Butler calls me up and he says, we lost him. I said, what? He said, Prime, he signed with another team. I said, holy cow, who'd he go with? He goes, red and gold. And the first thing out of my mouth was, Arizona? And he goes, no, you idiot, the Niners. And you mentioned some of the names. I'm going to throw a couple else out there. Brent Jones,
Yes, tight
Steve
end.
Wallace, Harris
Steve
Barton.
Wallace. Harris
And
Barton, yeah.
I
Check.
think my question is going to eventually lead to this is if it wasn't for the competitive chip on my shoulder from Steve Young to kind of say, I don't care what happens to me. We are going to win this year. We're going to win on my watch. To kind of glue all of those bodies and egos and everything else together. Was there anything about Steve's competitiveness that you go, this dude wants this so bad right now? You can taste it,
He was to be a superstar. He was a really good, humble guy. You
right?
know what I mean? Brigham Young. He wasn't arrogant. You know what I'm saying? He just was a team player. That whole team was like that. You're right. Everybody had to check. There was a lot of great players that was on that team. Some of them on their last years, but they still was great. Like Ricky Jackson, you know what I'm saying, and things like
Right.
that. And Gary Plummer and Richard Dent. You know what I'm saying? These dudes were superstars before they even come here. They all swallowed their pride, put their egos to the side for the best of one thing. They want to win a Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying? Didn't want to win another one. You know what I mean? And so he brought his expertise in there. Ricky Jackson had never won one. He wanted to win one. Gary Plummer want to get one. You know what I'm saying? And they all, Steve Young, look, I'm trying to get up under this cloud of Joe Montana. Joe Montana has all them Super Bowl rings. I'm trying to get me one. And so it was never no animosity or anything in practice. Everybody just was really competing real hard to be the best they can be. Now I'm telling you from mini camp, that's the only thing that was being preached. We're gonna win the Super Bowl. They were saying that from mini camp. That it was just already known. We gotta get through Dallas. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like we was looking ahead, but we knew Dallas was still like the Kansas City Chiefs is now and the Philadelphia Eagles is now. You got to prepare and build your team to beat those.
Man,
And
they were
Dallas was still
so
good.
good. Talk about that, that championship game. You're in the mud, it had rained, and everybody's uniform is dirty, but that's the way football should be played. And what a tough game. And the reason it was so tough is because both teams wanted it, and they were both good enough to win it. At any one mistake that anyone made, it's going to go to the other side. Just one of the great games in NFL history.
Dallas was so good when Jimmy Johnson was there that if the 49ers didn't put together the team we put together in 94,
Right. Yeah.
they would have won 4 straight.
Yes, sir.
Remember now, they was back to back, and then they lost to us, and then Deion went to Dallas, and then they won that year. That's how good Dallas was. You know what I'm saying? The Emmitt Smith and Mike Alvin Harper in them days like that. It took a tremendous game from our team just to even still be able to beat them because it was back and forth. Troy Aikman and Darryl Moose Johnson and Haley, and I mean just was really, that's how good they were. And so we was really fortunate. It just was a good run, a good year, something that I'll never forget. The thing, like when I be looking at like now, I think about camp, I know exactly what them guys going through during the season. Every time a team go to the playoffs, I know exactly what they're going through. When they go to the Super Bowl, I know exactly what they're going through. And I just was fortunate enough to be a part of a couple teams that not only went there, but we won them. And so it's just a tremendous feeling every single year just to see that because I've been there and experienced it and was able to be a part of some great teams, man, that came on top.
Yeah, no kidding. The experience alone. I mean, I imagine there are a couple of times you're not pinching yourself, but you got to be looking around and going, God, there isn't anyone on this roster that doesn't belong in the Hall of Fame someday. And I'm here practicing with them every day. I belong too, right? So there's a gain of your personal confidence as well as just from a professional level. You're going, this is unbelievable. This team is amazing.
Every safety I played behind in the NFL was a Pro Bowler.
Yeah.
Every last one of them. Eugene Robinson in Seattle was a Pro Bowler.
Yep.
He wasn't a Pro Bowler in Seattle. He could have been, but when he went to Atlanta, he was Pro Bowler. So he made a Pro Bowl. Tim McDonald and Merton Hanks, Pro Bowlers. Rodney Harrison in San Diego, Pro Bowlers. Steve Atwater in Denver and Tyrone Braxton, Pro Bowlers. Every year I played in the league, I played behind a guy. But I was pushing them. You know what I'm saying? trying to get my little time out there. You know what I mean? I was pushing them. I ain't trying to give nobody nothing, man. But it was just a great experience. But I ain't play around. Look, I tell you, I ain't play behind no scrubs, man. Like, yeah, I was second team, but I played behind some dudes. Them boys were Pro Bowls.
Yeah.
That's how good they were. Yeah. Big up to all them guys, man, because they all was good guys.
Do me a favor, Diedrich. There is an aspect of the egos, the personalities. That all gets thrown away when you're on special teams. And that's one of the places where you excel. Talk a little bit about the importance of understanding your role on any one side of the ball or the other. Kickoff return, you're on punt block, everything in between, but taking that as a badge of honor in that I'm going to make that portion of this roster the best it possibly can be because I'm on the field.
It's how a lot of guys stay in the NFL because special teams is just that important. There could be guys, man, that they might be good players, but they're not good. They're used to starting, and if they don't start, they're not used to playing special teams in college. And so they might not have that same energy and that same tenacity when they get to the NFL. If you don't start in the NFL, you got to be good at special teams, period, point blank. And ain't no ifs, ands, or but about it. If you don't start, you're not just being on the team. You're gonna have to play special teams.
They'll find somebody else if you don't start. Yep.
They'll find somebody else. So special teams kept me in the league for 7 years because I was a good special teams player.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Good role player. I practice hard. I've always practiced hard, like it's game day. A lot of times I really didn't run was on the card. You know what I'm saying? I didn't like that. You know, sometimes on the card, oh, this guy gonna break this way. I never did that. And Steve Young and the quarterbacks I went against, they like that. They like me reacting the way I normally react. They will come to me and say, "What you saw?" You know what I'm saying? What did you see? Because I didn't do like I wasn't a robot out there. I was playing to make plays on Steve Young. I was playing to make plays on John Elway. I was. So I went out there kind of like the little scout team coach. He really didn't too much care for me because I was like, this my game. Like this is how we practice at Florida State. Every day is game day. I'm not, you know what I mean? So it just prepared me as far as on that and helped me be in the league as long as I was. I'm gonna tell you now, Mike Shanahan signed me in Denver and he didn't even work me out. You know what he said to me? Because Mike Shanahan was the offensive coordinator for the 49ers when I was there. And so when he got the second year and he tried to get some 49 players on his team, he just signed me. And he said the reason he signed me because he remembered how I used to practice against him on the scout team. That's exactly what he said to me. I remembered how you used to practice against us. I need that on this team right here. That's how I got to Denver.
For him to be able to say, look, there's a kid that I've seen that he just does it the right way. I don't care. We're going to sign him and we're going to find a spot on our roster for him. It's interesting that you mentioned the coaches talking about it. When I was in Green Bay, Mike Holmgren was the coach, and Mike was there in San Francisco, as you know. Learned under the Bill Walsh system and Andy Reid and everything else. Gruden was a part of that. Mariucci came over later. Every day they talked about going to the Super Bowl. Every day. So it was instilled and planted into you that you've got to practice, you've got to prepare yourself. We practice hard, but we don't go 5 hours. We had some practices that were an hour and 35 minutes, while in Atlanta it was 3 hours. But we got more done in less time because we did full speed for everything. You got to be a part of that. Shanahan carrying that over into Denver, you got to experience that firsthand.
He did exactly the same thing. Like the only difference between when we got the Denver is that his run game was different.
Okay.
But all the things that he learned when he was at the 49ers, he brought them to Denver. That's why he brought so many of us over there. We had Eddie McCaffrey, me, with Derek Lavelle. It was like we had a few 49ers that was on the team because we had been in the playoffs. You know, he was trying to get over the hump. Remember, Jacksonville had just beat them the year before. And, you know, John Elway was just like Steve Young, man. I'm trying to get this monkey off my back.
Yep.
And so even that year, just think about it, man. I was just part of two Hall of Fame quarterbacks 2 years when they won their first Super Bowl. You know what I'm talking about? It just was epic. It
And
was
Elway
epic.
was 0-3 at that time. Remember, he had
Yes.
lost all 3 Super
Mhm.
Bowls before
He
that.
did.
And you're right,
He
the
did.
monkey on his back, the pressure. And
Yes.
when you were in Denver, I was there his rookie year at Colorado State. I'm telling you, the pressure that guy had to go through. If he went to the bathroom, if he brushed his teeth, if he threw the trash out, everything that he did was in the papers. And they suffered. They had great moments. They got to the Super Bowl, but he was 0-3 and needed to get that win to establish his legacy.
Yes. And he did it. It's very hard, as we know. You know what I'm saying? I know I'm talking that it's very hard to win a Super Bowl. All you gotta do is think about Dan Marino, think about Dan Fouts, think about Jim Kelly.
Yep.
You can be great, man, and it's hard to win. And you know what I
Fran
mean? So good for
Tarkenton.
them. Fran
Yeah.
Tarkenton, yep. And so just for them to have it, you know, that's kind of like, man, there's a feather in their hat. I know what Steve Young and John Elway were, because I was there when they was working hard just to get that first one. You know what I'm saying? They hadn't had one. You know what I'm saying? Not like they already had one. They was trying to really, you know what I'm saying, trying to will it. And they did. You know what I'm talking about, with their leadership and, of course, with the great team that they have around them. They was able to do it. I'm just happy for them. I'm happy to be a part of it, you know?
Absolutely amazing. Yeah, go ahead, Vincent.
Your experience in Denver, couple of players I want to ask you about. What about the man from St. Louis, Pig Suey, this evening, Mr. Steve Atwater? Number 2, the man from Texas that do a lot of talking, Mr. Tim McKyer.
Mm-hmm.
And then the nasty man himself, Bill Romanowski.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about those 3 players. And, of course, another dog, Terrell Davis.
Steve Atwater.
Pig Suey.
I would tell you the first story before I was at Denver. When I first got to Seattle, we played in Tokyo and we played the Denver Broncos. I'm a rookie now. You know what I'm saying? And I looked down, you know, we scrimmaging against them before the game. And so they're on the field. So I'm looking at guys go through the bags. And so I told one of my teammates, I said them linebackers look quick down there. He said, man, them ain't linebackers, them safeties. That's Dennis Smith and Steve Atwater. I said, what? I said, them safeties. I thought they were linebackers. I was like, oh man, but Steve Atwater was nicest guy you ever meet. You hear what I'm talking to you, man? I'm telling you, man, just a nice guy, but will undress you when he hit you. He was undress you. And then you talked about Tim McKay was a jokester. You know what I'm saying? Tim McKay just joked. Now, Tim Tim McKay used to tell the Broncos during the whole year now, because see, Tim already had a Super Bowl ring with the 49ers. And so he used to tell them that I got my jury. Y'all need to get yours. Y'all ain't got no jury. That's all he's talking about. Y'all ain't got no jury. That was his joke back to Shannon Sharp and all of them. Y'all ain't got no jury. Y'all ain't got no jury. And I remember when we won it, they was able to say, now we got jury. That was kind of motivation, you know what I'm saying, that he had brought to the team. Terrell Davis, just the ultimate pro. Another guy that, you know what I'm saying, had to earn his way on special teams. Matter of fact, that game when we was in Seattle, he made that big hit. That was Terrell Davis that hit when he was at Denver. We was at San Fran. We played him in San Fran too. But just practice hard. It's the same tempo. Like the tempo that we had in Denver was the same tempo that we practiced when we were in San Fran. Shanahan bought Romanowski.
I know you want to
the Bill Lamb Bill football. Period. And I did that like that. You want to play with them, but you don't want to play against them. You know what I'm saying? Tough, hard nosed. You know what I'm saying? In practice. Oh yeah. I'm saying you got to, like, if Bill Romanowski was a boxer, he one of the ones you got to watch when the bell ring in the round. You better stay covered up. He might, you know what I mean? You might get kidney shot or something like that. But he was gonna give you his all though. Bill Romanowski. He one of the ones you want to play with that you really didn't want to play against. real nasty, but a good football player. He was a nasty one, but he was a really good football player.
Back to you, Hawk.
Well, your experience in Denver, you go to San Diego. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers was one of the wins that you had, and then against was it the Colts with Harbaugh throwing, and you beat both of them. You go to San Diego, you take on Green Bay, Brett Favre, Chimura, Reggie's over there. And was it Tony Jones that took Reggie and am I right with the name? Was it Tony?
Say that again.
Was it Tony Jones that took on Reggie? He was your left tackle there. Enormous.
Oh, yeah,
One of the biggest
yeah.
human
Talking about Denver. Yeah, big Tony Jones. Yep, big Tony Jones. Yeah. We had a good offensive line. Yep.
Oh, yeah.
But it was Big Tony. It was Big Tony. The guy that we was really worried about, it was Big Gilbert Brown in the middle. For I know we were practicing because like Big Gilbert, could nobody really block Big Gilbert. Could nobody block Big Gilbert. And I remember our old line coach, Alex Gill, that we're gonna cut him every play. And that's exactly what they did. They cut on the, we ran inside outside zone with Terrell. Cut him every play. Big Gilbert was tired of getting up off the ground. Big old Gilbert Brown.
Yeah. But near the end of the game, he now for the first 10 plays, nobody can touch him, and he's going to make a tackle if you dare to run in between the guards. Shame on you. But then once he started getting tired, just like anybody, it was a different monster. But what a great defense they had. You mentioned Leroy earlier being a teammate, and then seeing him on the other side. Did you get a chance to shake hands or at least say hello to him after the game?
We did. We took pictures and everything like that. I think the Green Bay Packers kind of like underestimated us a little bit until it was too late. They really did. You know what I mean? Because they had just won it the year before.
Right.
Of course, they had just about their whole team came back, and we get into the playoffs as a wild card. We play one home game, and then we got to go to Pittsburgh, and then we got to go to Kansas City. So we played 2 games on the road, you know what I'm talking about, and then have to play Green Bay. So it was a tremendous ride for our team. Very satisfactory because ain't nobody expect for us to do it, getting in as a wild card. And then playing the defending champion, Green Bay Packers with Brett Favre and Dorsey Levens, and you know what I'm saying, all them guys that they had, Reggie White, Big Gilbert Brown, and them, Leroy Butler. And for us to come out on top, went down to the wire, but to come out on top was very tremendous and very special for the Denver Bronco Nation, and especially John Elway.
Yep. This one's for John.
This one's for John.
You mentioned going to Kansas City. Real quick, when I was in Green Bay, it was that season at the beginning of it. I had signed after the Packers knew that Keith Jackson wasn't going to play anymore. So I had a chance to snap there. So long story short, we're on the bus. It's in training camp. Leroy Butler, Eugene Robinson, Reggie White, and myself. We're sitting in the back 4 seats of the bus just having a conversation. And someone says, "Who's got the best fans?" And someone said, "Man, Kansas City. They got great fans over there." And I threw out Denver. I said, "Man, I tell you what, Bronco Nation is for real." And Reggie said, "I'm going to disagree with you, Harper, and I'm going to say Green Bay, our fans, we've got the best fans." I said, "What's the difference?" He goes, "Well, our fans won't boo us." And I thought about that, and I go, you know what? That was really interesting. And there was no wrong answer. But in your experience, what was it like playing in Denver, especially when the tide is turning, they're winning, even though you didn't win the division? How quickly they already loved the team, but what was that like for you in your experience there in and out of the city of Denver throughout that 97 season?
I have to agree with Reggie. Denver has some really good fans. You know what I mean? But sometimes you go to these professional teams and you got kind of like fair weather fans.
Right.
That if you're not winning and they're not going to show up, Green Bay going to show up every time. Green Bay got Nebraska Cornhusker fans kind of like. Nebraska, I don't care what their record is, they're going to sell out in the stadium. And that's how Green Bay is. Because, the fans kind of own, got stake in it and things like that. So they really feel a real part of it. And so, like, their fans are going to be there, rain, sleet, or snow. Another fan base that if they still was in Oakland is the Raider fan. Is the Raider fans. They're probably the most intimidating fans. You know, I've never been to Cleveland. Played in Cleveland with the Dog Pound.
Yeah.
Never played in. I heard.
We lost him there for a second. We'll hopefully get Dietrich back. One quick note. There we go. We lost you for a second.
Yeah.
Hey, is there anything as fun as a visiting player in Oakland when they're losing and you see the fans with the spiky shoulder pads and the facial stuff and they can't cheer? There's nothing for them to cheer about. That to me was I had more fun watching Raider fans when they lose than just about any other fan.
They are very passionate. I wish that they could still be in Oakland, and I understand the stadium and all like that. I feel bad for those fans, because they really are the Oakland Raiders. They're not the LA Raiders. They're not the Vegas Raiders. They're not. You know what I'm talking about. It's like Green Bay. It's like Green Bay being somewhere else. Man,
Yeah.
Green Bay belongs in Green Bay.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Oakland belongs in Oakland. Cleveland belongs in Cleveland.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? It's not Baltimore. It's the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna say even San Fran. Now they don't move San Fran down to Silicon Valley, and so I feel bad because we used to play in Candlestick. They don't play there no. They play down, and it's closer to. It really could be the San Jose Niners. Tell you the truth, because San Jose is right there. You got to go 40 miles to get to the Bay. I feel bad for the fans that's in San Francisco that used to sell the popcorn or whatever, and park cars and things, because now it's down here. Me saying that is that I like the teams where they really originated at and they can remain there. I just remember the old man. I'm telling my age or whatever. The Baltimore Colts. You know what I'm saying? Them days the Chicago Bears. Can you imagine the Bears be anywhere else other than Chicago? No. Like when the Oilers left. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just used to those teams being there and that fan base. We're going back to Green Bay, but the fans, that's what I'm saying. That's what make their fans so special, because, like I said, they're going to be there, win, lose, or draw.
The name, the color, the logo. Baltimore should have the Colts. Indianapolis, I'm glad. I really am glad that Cleveland fought for and got to keep the colors, the logo, and the name. I think that it would make a very unique situation. They should be the Las Vegas Gladiators, whatever you want to call them, not the Raiders, because the Raiders belong in Oakland and only in Oakland.
That belong in Oakland, man.
Yeah.
I agree with you, brother.
We'll go to Roger Goodell there in New York, and we'll go tell him that. I think we'll get kicked out of the office before we get anywhere. A couple more years that you had, though. Carolina, a year in San Diego, and then guess what? It's over before it even gets started. Right? I mean, the career is so quick. It passes.
Not for long. NFL.
Fast. NFL. That's right.
Yep. It was a good run, though, man. Like, no one, not even myself, ever expected to. Like I said, and I'm gonna be 100. I didn't make $1 million, but I got $1 million worth of experience.
Sure.
I'm $1 million worth of experience. I was able to get some jewelry out of it. A lot of fantastic people. Look at me on the podcast. But you guys, you know what I'm saying? I'm on the podcast with you, talking about the teams I played for and from Florida State, the whole nine. I've truly been blessed, truly been fortunate. But the thing, like you said, when we tell the young kids, man, I took advantage of the opportunity when it come to me. I earned it. It wasn't given to me. Nothing was given to me. I had to earn it. I had to beat out guys, no matter where I went, from high school to Florida State. I had to earn that. I had to beat out guys in that spot. I was playing with a lot of great players. NFL, like you said, Vince, I had to go make the 49ers. I had to make that team. I beat out a 6th round. I had to beat him out and make that team. I had to make Denver when Shanahan brought me there. I could easily went there and, got it, whatever, and not played. No, he brought me there. I had to make that team. I had to make San Diego and play behind Rodney Harrison, who will knock paint off people's helmets. And I had to make that team. And so it's just been a fantastic run. You know what I'm saying? I got 7 there, 2 in the World League. World Championship in the World League for London, which was a great team. And then, of course, one with San Fran and one with Denver. I don't have any complaints, man. I'm just truly, truly blessed, truly fortunate, truly
Well,
fortunate.
Diedrich, you are certainly a proponent of explaining how hard work always pays off, right?
Yes,
Practicing at the highest level, no matter what, not complaining about it, just realizing that that's what I need to do, and I'm going to do it. And next thing you know, you make a roster, and you're on a couple of really great teams. And you mentioned the championships. That's just a result of being around at the right place at the right time.
yes, yes.
Absolutely. Go ahead, Vincent.
My final questions before we get you off here today. I want you to talk about the game, today's game, but I'm gonna throw some players out there, and I just want you to give some answers.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna start since you was outstanding safety, Doran James.
Florida State.
Yes, sir.
A tremendous all-around athlete. A guy that you can. I remember him in high school. He's Polk County now. I talked about the other guys from Polk County, the Ponce twins, Alvin Harper, Ray Lewis, Derrick James from Polk County. He from Haines City. Like where Wayne Gandy's from, used to play in the NFL. He from Haines City. I remember him from high school. The guy can play offense and defense, really. You know what I'm saying? He just can play linebacker, rover, free, will linebacker. You can put him anywhere, man. He's just a tremendous football player and athlete. I'm just glad to say that he's a fellow Florida State Seminole.
Offense. My boy from LSU, Jamar Chase.
Played for, I have to agree with some of them sportcasters, probably one of the best, you know what I mean, maybe other than the '01. I think it's a coin flip, but I still think the LSU team, best college team ever assembled that year. I'm saying with Jamal Chase and them boys that they had on there and Burrows. Them LSU boys are something different. I'm down here in Southern Louisiana now. This is Tiger Land. Now, I wear my Florida State stuff now, but I know it's Tiger Land. Um, they really get it in down here, and that man is a problem. He is a problem. The LSU boys a problem when they get to the next level, man. Tremendous player.
And my final question of the evening, and then I'm gonna turn it over to Hart. I'm gonna start down here where we at the Atlanta Falcons. Drake London and B. John Robinson.
Now that Robinson is he low. You know what I'm saying? It's like he's older. You can see some of these athletes now, man, bigger, faster, stronger. I know that weight room program. He's one of them. You know, so you better come up and better have some rocks in your pocket when you're coming up against a guy like that, man. Just the game is just. I know y'all. I think y'all was asking a question about today's game. Um, there's a lot of business to it. Us old heads kind of miss the days where it wasn't so many penalties called for certain hits. But I guess you got to understand it when it comes to the marketing value, TV money, and everything like that. You know, I just miss the old days when it was screw to screw and stuff. But with the injuries, CTE, and things, the players have to adapt on how they play now. I kind of miss those big hit days, and I don't mind the crackbacks. That's why Coach said keep your head on the swivel. You know what I'm saying? I don't mind them days back then, but I do get it when it comes to marketing and trying to protect the players from themselves. Took me a long time to be able to understand that. I like today's game for the money they make. I like the game I played in for the way we played. You know what I'm talking about, the physicality of the game. Wasn't so many flags and things like that. But as far as the money, of course, today's game is way, way better than it was when I played. But I love the game that we played in because it was hard nosed. You know what I'm saying? You had to be really hard nosed. It's easier now to make an NFL team than it was when I was there. Like I said, camp, they got like 90 plus guys in camp. Like, I don't know, what is it, 15, 20 practice squad players. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, it was four. It was four practice squad players and 53 made the roster. That was it. You know what I'm saying? So it was 57. And now, it's kind of like, for the players, it's kind of a little easier to make. But still love the game. Still appreciative of it. I owe it to my coaches all the way from high school. and my great grandmother who brought me down to Florida, and that's how I was introduced to the game of ball.
Drake London, though.
Drake London can get down.
Yeah.
Drake London can get down, man. There's a lot of just bad athletes in the league, just period. You know what I mean? That's why um, you have to train so hard in the off season. You know what I mean? That's what I tell student athletes. I say one thing about the NFL is that they're drafting guys to replace you every year. You know what I'm saying? And they working guys out on Monday. Every week is somebody working out just in case you're not doing what you're supposed to do. They're gonna release you and they're gonna sign that guy there. This ain't high school. You know what I mean? You're the best guy on the team, and we got it now. Not in the league. Well, they working guys out on Monday, and they're gonna draft. You know, you be saying like I started last year, and here they go drafting the safety or drafting the quarterback. Look at Cleveland; they got 4 quarterbacks. Some guys give. They're only gonna keep 3, or are they gonna keep 3, put 1 on practice? What they gonna do? I mean, that's how the game is in the league.
Yeah, it's a business. It's a business. It's gotta move, and you gotta help them make money in one way, shape, or form. That's a part of it. Another part is keeping the game going. When you were done, when did you decide? You know what? I know the game. I played it. I want to teach it to others. I'm going to devote a part of my life to giving back and helping kids, whether it be at the high school or the college level. What was that decision like for you?
You remember now, a lot of times we don't want to retire, but the NFL will retire you. I was one of them. I didn't want to retire. I couldn't get signed no more. But it was like I said, I was raised by a lot of elderly people, and they always like, "You good with kids? You good with kids? You should go into coaching. You should go into teaching." And so, like, I graduated a degree in criminology at Florida State, but when I retired after the '98 season, I went back and took classes to get certified to teach. And so now I'm certified social studies teacher. Ended up being a head coach at 4 different high schools. Ended up being I won a state championship in that left hand pitcher as a head coach. I coached at 4 different colleges. I just love giving back, but everything, like I tell them that I'm teaching, I've learned from somebody else. You know, it goes all the way back to Vic Smith and Stu Guthrie from high school, to Mickey Andrews and Coach Bowden, and you know, and all the different things I learned from Shanahan and George Seifert and Ray Rose, and you know, I got my own little toolbox. I put my stuff in it. And I just go now and just like try to work on kids with that type thing. Do motivation.
You ever catch yourself using an Andrews or a Bowden or a Shanahan quote, and you go, "Oh my gosh, I'm saying exactly what they used to say.
Yeah,
I promised I'd never say that, and now I'm doing it with these kids." My goodness.
Yes, I do, especially Coach Bowden things. You know what I'm saying? Coach Bowden, like I always use like what you do. I just like it. What you do affects more than just yourself. You know what I mean? So I think a lot of kids are kind of selfish. And they're just thinking about them, but not knowing the things, and you know what I mean, the good and the bad. You know what I'm saying, negative and positive. It affects more than just yourself. I say, you look, if a guy goes in the NFL and says he has a misstep, you know what I'm saying, and when they write about that guy or put him on the news, they're gonna go all the way back to his high school, former Florida State, former San Francisco, former Marbury High. It goes all the way back. So what you do affects more than yourself. So try to be mindful and you know, conscious of the things and the steps you take and the crowds that you hang around. And if an opportunity comes to you, man, make sure that you're prepared for it. You know what I'm saying? Because you never get a second chance to make a first impression.
Boy, great advice there. And it's funny how so many things that you learn that, yeah, the coach is just saying this. He says it all the time while you're practicing. A few years later, you go, no, it's the truth. It applies to football, but it also applies to life. It applies to other things that are going on, your leadership, your ability to follow at the right time, right? You're not always a leader. Sometimes you follow somebody else, and knowing the difference between it. But more than anything, just being able to make the right decision quickly, effectively, and being able to move forward because of that. And that's what coaches have been able to try to instill ever since the game was created.
Yes. Exactly. And I agree with that. And those same things, man, is what I try to portray and be the best example that I can. Like I tell them, like I tell my students, I said, you know, as teachers and as coaches, you know, when you can't play anymore, you now live through whoever you teaching and who you coaching. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I said, I can't play no more, man, but I live through you. You know what I'm saying? As far as
Yeah.
the things that you do, I'm just trying to put you in the best position possible to be successful, not only in the game but in life. You know what I mean? Because a lot of things that we learn in sports, man, transfers over as far as his life, as far as the discipline, the preparation, and the attitude that you have to be the best that you can be.
Ed Donatel was a defensive
Yeah,
coordinator with the Atlanta Falcons and spoke not too far from here. It's called Peachtree Ridge High School, and the whole cluster from 6 years old to 18-year-olds. And there's coaches that are there when he's introduced that are ready to write down the winning Super Bowl defense. He goes, "Hey, guys, I just want you to calm down for just a split second. I'll talk about defense. But before I do that, I want to ask, how many 14-year-olds do we have that are here? 14-year-olds. How many of you? Would you mind standing up?" There were probably 30. There were probably 30, 15-year-olds, 30, 17, about that amount. And he says, "I want everyone in this room to stop what you're doing. Parents, brothers and sisters, teammates, and I want you to look at every one of these 14-year-olds. Do you realize that in 4 years, you're not going to recognize them? They're going to look different. They're going to smell different. They're going to talk different. They're going to behave different. Coaches, it's your job right here, right now, to teach them everything that they need to know to be a good football player and to be a man. They will love football or they will hate it for the rest of your life because of what you've done. Please take some time to take consideration into doing that. You have a job to do. Sit down, 14-year-olds. All right, now let's talk about defense. What an impactful message. And you get to live that out just about each and every day, Derrick. That's an amazing responsibility, isn't it?
yes, and I have players that text me or from social media. I follow them, and now they're married and have kids, and now their kids are playing, and they go back and say the things that I said to them that my coaches have said to me. And just watching that positive wheel spin is really rewarding because that's the kind of impact I want to be able to have on them. But it's like I said, now I've had good coaches everywhere I've been. I'm not one to say, "Oh, I didn't have a good coach." No, I had good coaches in high school. I had good coaches in college, and every NFL team I was at, I had good coaches.
Yeah.
So I just try to be the same example as they were for me, for the young people that I come in contact with.
Well, Vincent, we've had a very special, unique, and powerful guest here today. Any final thoughts before we move forward?
You always go like Mr. Dodge says, you go about your dream. And what I learned tonight is sometimes you meant to be here. And I remember that 94 San Francisco team because I'm a diehard Dallas Cowboys fan. Been one ever since I was 6 years old. And I'm 65 years old, Mr. Dodge. And I remember when the 49ers stopped that run. But at that time, I was living in Memphis, Tennessee, working for Federal Express. And if you would have told me I'd be on a podcast with a gentleman that's been fantastic, the 100 Yards Football, Mr. Harper LaBelle, and a gentleman that played in the game, I would say God is good. So with Mr. Dodge on our show today, I'm sure we're going to get a nice response. I appreciate you being here with us on 100 Yards Football and telling your stories.
Yes, sir.
And all I know is that tomorrow I'm going to get up and I'm going to be ready to be the best individual I can, along with this great young man from California, Mr. Harper LaBelle, so we can have the #1 podcast all of sports media. Yes. It's been a pleasure, sir. Thank you this evening.
You're
Back
welcome.
to you, Mr. Hart.
Derrick, it has been a pleasure, and thank you so much for being on. Any last words from you? You've had what a great message that you have. That you're very thoughtful, you're creative, but yet you're also reminiscent. I think you have a tremendous value of what it was that you went through and what you learned from, and what you're able to take from it.
I appreciate you guys having me on. It's always fantastic and God-given, man, to be able to share a story. A lot of times, you know what I mean, they say people kind of, from the outside, if it's young people, or even if it's older people kind of relate to folk that went through the same situations that they are. And so, it's always important to me when I tell them, like, I wasn't raised by my mother and my father. I was raised by elderly people. But just to say like the adversities that you go through in life, you know what I mean, doesn't have to stop you from being what you really want to be. You know what I'm talking about? You know what I mean? You can still be whatever you want to be, man. You got to take advantage of them opportunities when they come to you. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
absolutely.
Hmm.
Well, as Dave Baker once said to me, I will pass along to you, Diedrich, for what you have done for the game, for what you will continue to do for the game. We want to thank you. We appreciate you being a part of our show here tonight.
Salute.
What a blessing it's been. Great time, about 94 minutes, right at that mark. We could probably go another 90, but and just still continue to barely touch into the depth of your football knowledge and your experience. We are grateful that you have been on. So I want to say thank you for Vincent Turner, our co-host and our founder, and for Derrick Allen Dodge, to be official. Born on June 14th, 1967. What a wealth of knowledge you've had. We want to say thank you for all of you for tuning in here now to 100 Yards of Football. This has been our special interview with Dietrich. We appreciate you being a part of the show. We thank you so very much for tuning in and for being a consistent watcher and listener of 100 Yards of Football. I'm Harper LaBelle saying have a fantastic rest of your day. We certainly appreciate it.